All right, good morning to you, and thank you so much for being with us on air and on WFAA+. I'm Matt Howerton.
And I'm Dia Wall. We got meteorologist Greg Fields, traffic anchor Stacia Wilson to help you get out the door this morning. It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
That it is.
That is put so beautifully, right? It's
That's all I got.
Tuesday traffic.
It's Tuesday.
You have some problems on 75. That could catch those who are coming down from Plano and Allen as well. An accident close to Richardson, but we'll get you around it.
Okay. And a nice day on tap.
It is. It's Tuesday. It means it's not Monday, right?
Yeah.
We'll take that, Greg. We'll take that.
All right, let's talk about it. We are looking at some cool temperatures. Very comfortable heading out the door again this morning. We're going to start to warm up, though, here over the next few days as we take you on out this morning. We are letting you know what you need to know. Yes, we do have some warmer days ahead across North Texas. That begins today. Still cool out there this morning, but we will start to warm up. And, yes, we do have some 90s in that forecast here by midweek, by tomorrow, maybe certainly the latter half of the week. Some low rain chances back in the picture as well for the weekend, heading on into the first part of next week. So we'll get more into that in just a bit. But yes, it is pleasant heading out the door. Grab the light jacket and sweater. 58 degrees taking you out to our studios here with the clear skies. It's down to 52 heading out to Denton here this morning. Those upper 50s along the Red River. 56 for McKinney. And then we'll have those mid upper 50s heading out to Granbury, out toward Hillsboro at 60 degrees here this morning. So the kids heading off to the bus stop. Yes, that light jacket for sure. Maybe the sweater along with the sunglasses today. We'll have plenty of sunny skies, just about full sunshine heading toward the afternoon. We're going to be in the upper 70s and coming home later today up around 83 or so for that high. So no issues out there for today. We'll talk more about what's in store for the rest of the week, as we mentioned, with those warmer temperatures coming our way. But now let's get back over to Stacia, checking on traffic.
Yeah, don't forget those sunglasses. I hate it when I forget my sunglasses, you know? We're watching a backup along 75 right there at Spring Valley. It starts to slow down at Beltline. You have an accident at Mid Park. We've been looking at this for the last about a half an hour. Couple lanes blocked there, so this is just north of 75 and 635 there at the high five, and it's causing a pretty extensive backup. Look at that. In fact, if you're coming in from Plano, give yourself some extra time if you're taking 75, because that slowdown through Richardson really starts to pick up. You could consider taking Preston Road or even D&T if you want to avoid that traffic altogether. It looks like it is almost backed up all the way to George Bush along Central. What we're watching across the rest of Metroplex, still a little bit busier there. Downtown Dallas around I-35, I-35E northbound into downtown Dallas. You see it slow at Riverfront. Dia, Matt?
All right, thank you so much, Stacia. Well, it may not surprise some, the communities are already seeing school closures and consolidations across the Metroplex.
New data shows that Texas public schools are experiencing a shift in student enrollment.
Natalie Haddad joins us in studio now after breaking down the latest numbers to help us put them into context. Natalie?
Hey, good morning, you guys. 76,000 students. That's how many students Texas public schools lost this school year. That's according to a new report. And outside of the COVID pandemic, it's the first statewide enrollment drop in nearly 40 years. The policy group, Texas 2036, analyzed the 2025-2026 school year. They found Hispanic students made up about 4 out of 5. Every 5 students lost statewide. This is the biggest drop that was seen, though, was in elementary school, kindergarten through 5th grade. And by 2030, it found Texas could have about 100,000 fewer K-12 students. Now, the report points to several possible reasons for all of this, including anti-immigration pressure, lower birth rates, families moving out of state, and more students choosing private school. The findings were released just before yesterday's Education Committee hearing at the state capitol. Lawmakers heard from Strive Public Policy. This is a Texas consulting firm focused on education policy. They warned lawmakers that this is not just a short-term trend.
This is not another blip or a one-off. This is an inflection point, and it is the start of sustained enrollment decline. Next year's enrollment across our Texas public schools will likely be more than 120,000 students less.
We'd like to note the Texas Education Agency predicted before the passing of private school vouchers that enrollment would peak in 2025 and that we would likely lose at least 55,000 students by 2028. Back to you guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Natalie. Tonight, friends and family will come together to honor a security guard who was shot and killed outside of a club in Fort Worth. Investigators say Dominique Coleman got into a confrontation with someone before shots were fired at Club New Start Sunday morning. Coleman died and a woman was also shot, but is expected to survive.
It's unbelievable, you know. I'm still kind of lost for words for like the whole situation.
Police say 21-year-old Dedrian Freeman is charged with murder. His dad and brother were also taken into custody.
A medical examiner has completed the autopsy for one of 6 people found dead inside of a shipping container near the southern border. The bodies were found in a Union Pacific rail yard in Laredo on Sunday. The Webb County medical examiner says one victim was a 29-year-old Mexican woman who died of a heat stroke. Her death was ruled accidental. The medical examiner says she believes the others died from heat stroke as well, but autopsies are still underway. Homeland Security says it is investigating this as a potential human smuggling event.
A man accused of shooting into traffic in Cambridge, Massachusetts remains hospitalized this morning. Police say officers shot Tyler Brown after he opened fire with an assault-style rifle around lunchtime yesterday, randomly pointing at traffic near Harvard. 2 men were shot. Their injuries are life-threatening. Officials say Brown was on probation, pleading guilty to a previous shootout with Boston police in 2020.
To a live look at the White House behind us this morning, President Trump prepares for a historic visit to China this week.
He's set to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping, and we're checking in with ABC senior political correspondent this morning ahead of his visit, Rachel Scott. This trip was already pushed back due to the war in Iran, and that conflict is expected to be one of several big issues here.
Yeah, Matt, Dia, good morning. It's good to be with both of you. Yeah, Matt, look, you're right here. This trip was already delayed once before because of this war with Iran. Now it is moving forward as scheduled. The president is set to depart the White House here in just a few hours. Look, initially when this summit was being planned, it was very high stakes. The focus was going to be on trade and these trade deals that were essentially put on ice for a little bit, temporarily resolved and kicking the can down the road until a much firmer, longer-term deal could be reached with China. That is certain to be front and center at many of these discussions, primarily because the president, as part of the U.S. delegation, will be traveling with a large group of business CEOs, from Tim Cook to Elon Musk. They will be there as well, really trying to put the pressure to make a deal between the United States and China when it comes to business and trade. But also, it is hard to avoid this war with Iran, especially knowing that China is a very close ally to Iran. China is one of the top buyers of Iranian oil. And in fact, Iran's foreign minister was just in China just a few days ago, meeting with his counterpart there in China as well. And so it is certainly expected that these talks with Iran and these diplomatic negotiations will certainly come up in China. The big question, though, can both sides ultimately reach a deal here to end this war, to end this conflict? The president now saying that the ceasefire with Iran is now on ice.
You know, Rachel, you kind of alluded to this already, but now that the war in Iran is ongoing, what are the perceived goals? What would be the outcome that the president could be looking for heading into these talks now?
Yeah, heading into these talks with Iran, I mean, the president is looking for Iran to turn over all of their enriched uranium. And that is something at this point that Iran is not even willing to negotiate on this at this time. They want the United States to agree to a loose set of a framework before they really get into this deeper negotiations when it comes to nuclear material. But that is a red line for President Trump and this administration. So the president really called Iran's counter proposal to the United States peace proposal a whole lot of garbage. And right now, it's just unclear where exactly these talks go from here, as the president is now set to depart for China in just a few hours, guys.
ABC's Rachel Scott, thank you so much for being here with us. She's going to have much more on Good Morning America.
Now to a snapshot of news that you need to see this morning. Extreme heat is fueling 2 major fires right now. A wildfire in the Florida Everglades has now burned 11,000 acres since it started on Sunday. Some communities between Miami and Fort Lauderdale have been evacuated. So far, that fire has not damaged any homes or businesses. There's a large brush fire near Phoenix. It shut down a major highway for hours. Those flames jumped from a riverbed and wiped out RVs at a nearby park. Everyone made it out safely. It's expected to be 107 degrees in Phoenix today. That'll make it more difficult for firefighters for sure. Police near Detroit are looking for a pair of burglars who went up in smoke. The arson suspects crashed a stolen Jeep into a cannabis shop. One started grabbing items, the other started pouring gasoline everywhere. Well, when they lit the gas on fire, they caught themselves on fire. You see them there running away. And it's the time of year where the sun does not go down in one part of Alaska. In Utqiagvik, the country's northernmost city, people will see the sun around the clock for 83 more days. What? In the winter, the people there experience darkness for several weeks as well. And that's a look at your morning snapshot. I'm just saying, I couldn't do it.
Well, you got the pronunciation right. You nailed it. I was reading it in the prompter. I was like, oh, here we go. And then boom, knocked it out of the park.
Ye of little faith. It is 6:39 on your Tuesday morning, and ahead here on Daybreak, a lot of homeowners could be overpaying on their property taxes.
At 6:50, what you can do right now to save thousands when we go right on the money.
And layoffs are underway at General Motors. Up next, why hundreds of workers are losing jobs as the company reshapes its future workforce.
And we're looking ahead to our next chance for rain. And that starts as early as this weekend for some, but better chances early next week. We'll talk about why that is.
Yeah, but for now, it is clear, still cool out there, but warmer temperatures are on the way for the rest of the week. We'll have some 90s across North Texas before the week is done. We'll talk more about that as we go to break, though. Nice looking view there from Fort Worth. Sun coming up here early this morning.